morning, everyone. Let's try that again. I know it's a dreary day, but come on, let's bring some sunshine in here. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much, Mother. Sorry for the weather. It just seems to be that every conversation we have, we bring this lovely weather. But you know what? Somebody said it earlier. We need the rain. All right, so let's be grateful for what we got. All right, so welcome to Coffee and Conversation that is brought to you by the Government Affairs Committee from the South Padre Island Chamber of Commerce. My name is Jeanette, and I'm the president of the South Padre Island Chamber. We want to thank Padre Brewing Company for being our host, and for Karla Scimeca from Karla's Katering for bringing the lovely treats. And I'd like to also welcome a couple of dignitaries, well, a dignitary from the city councilwoman Lisa Graves, who also sits on the board of the chamber. Wendy Knight, our chairwoman of the board, and Dempsey, past chair, and Jim Ethel, and I see Blake Henry from Cmte visits FBI, so I'm going to thank you. I miss anybody else? Glenn McKinley is on our board. He's new to the board and doing a fabulous job. All right, I'm grateful that you all are here. I quickly want to let you know that the next Coffee and Conversation is going to be the 27th of this month, and we're going to be talking about spring break. So our city council leaders and city officials are going to be talking about what they're going to be doing to make sure that our residents and our tourists have a safe and fun spring break. All right? I also want to let you know that if you are a member of the Chamber of Commerce, there are many ways that you can get engaged with the chamber. We have several committees that you can sit on that help us support you and you support us. And if you'd like more information about that, come and see us at our new building at 4113 Padre Boulevard. All right, let's get talking about who we have presenting today. We're very excited and extremely grateful to have Barry Patel here to speak with us about some special projects that are happening here on the island. You may know Barry Patel. He is known for his significant contributions to the local hospitality industry and his service as the city's mayor. As a hotelier, if I said that right, Mr. Patel has developed multiple hotels all over the Rio Grande Valley and is the owner and CEO of Rio Grande Hospitality. During his tenure as mayor of South Padre Island, Barry initiated and carried out numerous projects to enhance the city's infrastructure and tourism appeal. This included the renovation of the Convention Center, repairs to the Queen Isabella Memorial Bridge Boardwalk, and improvements to Gulf Boulevard. He also played a pivotal role in securing the funding for beach renourishment, ensuring the maintenance of South Padre Island's beaches for the foreseeable future. In recognition of his contributions, Mr. Patel was inducted into the Rio Grande Valley Walk of Fame in 2018. Beyond his professional endeavors, he has been actively involved in community organizations, supporting entities such as South Padre Island Birding and Nature Center and Sea Turtle Inc. He has served with the Chamber of Commerce, and his activity involves in city committees and services. He is currently serving as chairman of the city's Special Projects Ad Hoc Committee, and we are extremely grateful to have him here today to talk about these special projects and what they mean to the economic development here on the island. So welcome, Barry Patel.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me clearly? Good. Good morning to everybody here. It's always a pleasure to address this group. Over the years, 3 or 4 times, and I've enjoyed it every single time. Today, I just come as a private citizen and somebody who's been involved in some city governance and the things that are going to happen on South Padre Island. I think that the island is now getting ready to make a big investment in some of our facilities here. So I just wanted to start with a little bit of background on how we're here today. with the city able to spend about $100 million on new projects. As Joanne and Mayor, when we served, we didn't have that kind of money. And I think that was our overwhelming concern the last time we were talking about an expansion of the convention center. I think my issue was that we don't have the money. We need to have the money in the back pocket or be able to borrow the money to pay for something like that. I'd love to build a Taj Mahal here, but gotta have some money to do that. And so instead of just putting words out there, the city council at that time was the mayor, and we embarked on a journey to get funds together so future city councils are able to spend money, have money to spend on new structures, such as everything that was mentioned, the venue tax. So in November, I think it was November 8th, and I'll just go through quickly the timeline. 2016 is when the venue tax, at that time I was the mayor of the town, and we proposed a venue tax that went to the voters of South Padre Island with a list of projects that would be funded using this venue tax. And at that time, we had a lot of challenges funding projects that were beneficial to the hotel industry, but at the same time, of course, bringing in tourists and extending the stay of tourists that come here. But at the same time, we wanted to do things that were beneficial to our small community. We're all here on 2 square miles of dry land. Not so dry today, but that's all we have. So we have a small community. We live here, we work here, we invest here. Some of us are retired here. So we came up with a list of projects that we went to the voters for. And one of the projects was parking, on the venue tax. And it was automobile parking, facility, and related land purchase. This is what the venue tax money is for, that the voters of South Padre Island approved. The second item was the Padre Boulevard medians improvement, which would we could use the venue tax money to improve this particular main drag that we have leading to our venue. Also, a wind and wind sports community venue related land purchases, things like windsurfing, kiteboarding, paddleboarding, kayaking. These are the things that we wanted to non-motorized sport. This is what we wanted to promote at the time. Also, there was a need for a concert facility, entertainment facility, which was closed, so that in the winter months we could have events indoors. The county has done a little bit of work towards that, in that they have an amphitheater there that can hold up to 5,000 people, but it doesn't have a retractable roof. It needs that in order to have it winterized so we can have events in the fall. The last thing, and this you have to read carefully because it is quite intentional on why the venue tax was designed this way. And that was the use of the venue tax. One of the items on that list was Convention Center Annex. Not a new convention center. Convention Center Annex potentially includes SpaceX launch viewing site, family entertainment venues, and additional meeting space. I'm going to read that again. Convention Center Annex potentially could include SpaceX launch viewing site, family entertainment venues, and additional meeting space. So I think we have to be careful with that. Now, going forward, I'm just running down the timeline quickly. Around September 11th, I think the city started seeing an allocation of approximately $2 million from our venue tax funds to be used towards a new convention center. So I think that kind of brought more focus on people like myself that are in the hotel industry to start getting involved to see what's going on with the venue tax money and the hotel tax money. So when we saw that on that agenda, I had many calls and texts from individuals saying, Barry, can you explain what's going on? So I, at that time, engaged myself with the city council, mayor, and a couple of city councilmen. I talked to Blake many times as to what was happening. Anyway, one thing led to another, and I asked the mayor to see if we can have an ad hoc committee that would kind of look into venue projects for the future. And the city council, I think it was late September, early October, created that committee. They said, well, let's have an ad hoc committee that will look into these things. So we started the process at that time. Our first meeting was on October the 16th, where we discussed 4 projects. One of the projects was the lighting on the causeway.
I don't know.
Causeway lighting was one of the projects. The other 2 projects have been talked about for a very long time in South Carolina. I don't want to sound annoying.
You're just so magnetic. It's just.
But anyway, the other project we were talking about was, and that we've been talking about for a long time, was a deep sea marina on South Padre Island. I think that's something that we wanted to have because it kind of extends the stay of tourists. We also get a different class of tourists that have bigger boats that we're losing them right now. We also bring them to South Padre Island, spend more time here. I think that's a longer stay. The third project we wanted to do is something indoors, and an aquarium and a butterfly pavilion has been on the books for a long time. We own the land. That's a big advantage. We don't own any marina land. We don't own the convention center land, but we own the land because of the birding center. So that's something that can be shovel-ready in a very short time. So an aquarium and a butterfly pavilion is something that we think that would bring in tourists or extend the stay of tourists. So basically, these are the 3 items: lighting of the causeway, and the marina. A little challenging because we don't own the land. The county owns the land, so we have to partner with the county to get that going. In this ad hoc committee, we did include the county, Joe Vega, who's here today, and Sofia Benavides, Commissioner for our district. They were both very helpful in joining us in the 2 meetings. And the conversation about how to get that marina going is ongoing with the county right now. We have a second meeting on December the 9th, where we kind of got our projects together, but we're spinning our wheels if we don't get endorsement from the city council. We wanted the city council to come in and say, yes, we like this project, and we'd like to move forward with this. We went back after that December 9th meeting to the city council and asked for their approval of these projects and start taking action to make it happen. And I'll get into that in a few minutes. These are the 3 projects. The one that we did not touch was the convention center. I think that was a little bit beyond the scope of this committee to handle. It was up to the city council to decide how much they wanted to spend on the convention center, what they wanted in it. And so we didn't touch that. We wanted to get these other projects, plus the projects that are on the venue tax list, to go down that list and knock them down when they want. So anyway, we went back to the city council. They endorsed all of the projects. It's such a good idea. Let's move forward. So how do we move forward is the next thing. Nothing moves without money, and the source of money is the hotel tax. Now, I just want to add a note here that none of these monies are coming out of general fund. This is all coming out of hotel tax money. So I want you to know that also all the monies that are spent on the beach and the beach nourishment and the beach maintenance also comes out of the hotel tax revenue. So sometimes people say, well, why do we need more people here? Why do we need to spend, have more tourism here? Because that's the money we're using to nourish our beach and keep it healthy the way it is now. And it's not like Surfside where you see it's all eroded. It's because we started that, I think, 9 years ago when I sat on the CBD board and asked for 0.5% increase in motel tax to pay for beach nourishment. And I think we asked for 1% back from the state. and hotel tax to pay for beach maintenance. And Joanne, I remember calling me one time and said, Barry, this is going before a committee tomorrow. We need some help, make sure everybody's in line, you know, both sides of the line. I think we got a unanimous vote the next day from that committee. Took a few phone calls, but we got a unanimous vote and we got our 1% back. So that's about $2 million a year, folks. So that money is healthy. It does not come out of the general fund. So that's great. We don't want to use general fund money here either, but we want to have projects that are going to be mutually beneficial to our community and tourism. Primary reason why we're doing this, of course, is to attract tourism. But at the same time, we want to also have, I would love to go to a nice burning facility or sea turtling or a nice aquarium where they work on a day like today. So that's the reason why we wanted to do this. Anyway, the one thing that we needed to do was we needed to change the rules with the state of Texas in order to be able to use the value tax money and the hot money for these purposes. You may say, well, where's the money? Since we started the value tax collection in 2016, the value tax fund now has about $15 million in reserves. I mean, that's just extra reserves that can be spent on these projects that are listed on the value tax. During the pandemic, 2020 was a tough time. 21 onwards, business got better, really good. At the same time, I know we had a lot of communication I did with the city council on keeping that money. We did not need to spend money on marketing because where else are people going to go in 2020 and 21? They don't want to get into airplanes. They don't need to fly and come down. So we did very well in those 2 years. But we also saved a lot of money. We didn't need to market. That money now is about $23 million in extra reserves. So we're starting out with a market of money that's about 40, maybe it'll get to 45 to 50 million by the time these projects go through the planning stages and are permitted. We also have the ability to borrow approximately $50 million. Now these numbers are 3 weeks or 4 weeks old, so it might be better, or I don't know, like, have we spent all that money already, or we still have it? Well, good. So we still have it, it will grow as we to about 50 million, and we have the ability to borrow 50. So that brings me to that number of 100 million. You know, so the next stage was to get the city council. We went back to the city council and asked them to get some help with our lobbyists in Austin. The legislature is in session right now, so now is the time to get these things moving. And we directed, the city council directed the lobbyists to go out and change the rules to allow us to use some of this money for a marina, for a butterfly and pavilion and aquarium. And I think that's it. Those were the 2 main items. There were other items, of course, the city has directed our lobbyists to work on, which are unrelated to this. So these are the 2 major things. And I think the third one was to incentivize somebody to maybe do a hotel here with a convention space next to the convention center. I can tell you it's not going to be me. I had enough already. But so that's also going to the legislature. Hopefully we'll get somebody, you know, huge come and build a hotel next to the convention center. I love competition, so I'm okay with that. But those are the things that our lobbyists is working on now. Now, the success of our lobbyists in the past, we measured them by their success. They're successful, they're lobbyists. So if this guy comes back and says, no, I couldn't get none of these done, we need to get somebody else. But if he comes back with a report card and John, you know this, right? The report card is 3 out of 3. That's the person that we need to keep on. So, you know, with this session, legislative session happening every 2 years, we have to have a report card on our legislators and see where we're at. So these are the 3 things that we want it done. The city council has endorsed these projects. The allocation on that money of $100 million, if I could be king for a day, I would allocate $25 million towards the aquarium. I would put an initial investment of $10 million towards the marina facility and work with the commissioner's court to see if we can get that going. And I'll allocate the rest of the money towards the convention center. But again, on the convention center side, I think, I don't know if they still allow value engineering or not for the city. Cities are allowed to do that or not, or design new structures. I know that at one time they wouldn't let us do that. What that means is that you tell an architect, we have $50 million to spend, and here are the things we want. We'd like to have a theater for performing arts. We'd like to have reading space for 1,000 people, etc. You go down that list and you give that to that engineer and architect and say, and this is how much money we have to spend. So go out there and get a design. So I think that's, when you do the allocation of funds, and you go out there and just tell somebody, yeah, go ahead, design me a nice convention center without looking at how much money we're able to spend on it. I think you're running into trouble 2 years from now with the architectural drawings are all done, nice, big, and then you put it out for bid, and it's $150 million or $200 million. You have no idea how much it's going to be. So I think those are the things that kind of concern me a little bit, being construction so long. I know the price of concrete, you know, how much curbing costs, how much tile work costs, and it's going up astronomically. So that's going to be challenging. So I think it's important that the city, the residents get behind a project like this, support it the same way they supported us when we had the venue tax out. We want to stay true to what we promised. I think that's important. These are the things that we were going to do. Now, I can also say that the hotel tax revenue, unrelated to the venue tax, has also gone up considerably. So that particular fund is also able to invest in a new convention center or a new facility. But anyway, that's basically the timeline of things that have happened in the last 6 months. It's at a good pace, considering it's working with the city government, but it's still not quick enough for me. I think we need to kind of galvanize behind this, because the minute we get things that are shovel ready, it's easier to get funding from state and federal money. I think federal money is running out now, but maybe state and city grants and things like that. I think it's easier to do that if we have shovel-ready projects. And so that's my goal. I think we should get the facilities next to the Barry Center ready to go. I think we should have that shovel-ready. I think that we should have at least a preliminary plan for a marina worked out with the county. That's mutually beneficial. And then once we have something on paper that's ready to go, it's easier to find grants and investors and things like that. So with that, I'm going to just put it out there for any questions. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm curious as to why the city would want to spend money building billions on land that doesn't belong to the city, or county land. Why would the city want to do that?
Well, I mean, yeah, land control is very important. Those of you in the real estate business, you know that. If you own the land, you're basically controlling everything. Now, the convention center land is not owned by the city, it's owned by the county on very long-term lease. And I've talked to, I'm a private citizen, so I can talk to anybody. So I've talked to the mayor and the city councilman, I think the city manager, that look at other options. You only got to look at other options, and instead of calling it a convention center, we have something that's called South Padre Island Ecotourism and Convention Center. Now, you open yourself up a lot of grants, a lot of funding out there besides our own funding. It would be nice to have a track of land that's from beach to bay. I think there's one track that's left on South Padre Island that's beach to bay. That's right next to the, I think, the shoe shake building at Katering. Bridge Point, yeah. So that's a huge piece of property that also has some wetlands. So, I mean, there's options. There's always options. Right now, I think it's not so much we are lack of money that used to be the case. It's all about ideas. Are you rich in ideas? And what does the island need in terms of tourism? So yeah, there are other options, and we all know them. It's not like we don't know them, and it's worth exploring. But that should be a convention center. The existing convention center could become a performing arts center. These are things that we'd like to hear about. I think that's certainly something that we should look into, or perhaps the city council already looked into it and discussed it in an open session. I don't know, but yeah, to answer your question, yes, it's always nice to have language. Do you have questions?
Yeah, the annexation of the convention center, you had mentioned something about maybe putting a spot that has visibility of the SpaceX launches. Can you expand on that maybe a little bit on what you guys are thinking?
Yeah. So in 2016, I remember going to the groundbreaking for SpaceX. At that time, there was a lack of any kind of facility to view the launches, right? So when we passed the venue tax, the county also passed the venue tax. And they got 0.5% of South Padre Island venue tax and 2% of every other community here around us. We got the 2%. Now, they used that money to build an amphitheater in the park there. It's out right in the southern tip of this island. And so there is a viewing facility now for SpaceX. So there is not, I don't think there's a great need for that on the part of South Padre Island. I'd like to see us invest into that park and see if we can get a retractable amphitheater. That'd be great. But I think that took care of itself when the county decided to build an amphitheater with a perfect view of SpaceX launches from. Now on the annex, the reason why we talked about the annex at that time was there were several conversations going on when the venue tax was passed as to should we just develop the existing convention center into a new beautiful one, or should we have another annex somewhere else that would be a venue? And there were all kinds of ideas at that time thrown around. There was some land available. There was a possibility of doing a facility in Fort Isabel. So we don't get the traffic here, but we still get the room nights. So there were ideas like that thrown around. So that was the meaning of annex, the way I saw it.
So let's talk about the aquarium for a minute. So I think that most of the discussion has been around using the land, the unused land adjacent to the city's facility that the Burning Center leases, right? Is the vision, or have you thought through that it's an expansion, meaning an adjustment of their mission, or are you thinking bringing in a new nonprofit to run it, or what's the semantics of how those two areas might work together?
So the way I look at it is, I think the new facility should be run like we run the convention center, because they're paying for it. I'd like to have hotel tax pay for that. And the reason why I like that is we've got to have a steady stream of revenue going forward, number one. Number two, we've got to have a management skill set that we can afford. So I'm not very happy with the way the Burning Center is being funded. I think it should have a steady stream of revenue because look at what it does. It brings in a lot of hotel things. The party center at the Sea Turtle, we've got a lot of people down there that come here and stay here at Reuters, or they want to go to the Turtle, the releases, and they stay here a couple of days. It's nice to stay for a few more days, and that generates hotel tax. But none of that hotel tax ever makes it back to the party center. It all goes to the convention center, the big box we have there. And it all goes there. So people that are like us, who are on the ground at our front desk, talking to people, saying, okay, where would you like to go today? Or what is there anything indoors? Is there anything we can go to? So that's why we need to have that funded and run by a staff like we have at the convention center. I think that's important. So yeah, it will change up a little bit, but you'll get more help, not necessarily cutting into your B&C budget. We don't want to do it. We want to add to it. So I think that would be my business model behind that. And then whatever revenues are generated from ticket sales, use that to improve your own facility. Not to pay the mortgage and pay the insurance and pay the staff, because that's not what the convention center does. And it never has any financial issues because it has a steady stream of revenue coming in all the time. So I think that's the model we should go with because it's never financially capped. Once you build it, you still have the property. So that would be my model. That's how I would propose it. I would not support it. It's not done that way. Laura.
Barry, you briefly mentioned, a hotel outside the convention center, which I have traveled all over the United States and attended lots of conventions, and I always stay in a hotel because it's convenient to go back and freshen up and all of this. But a hotel here on the island, to really, for them, it would seem like almost on the beachfront. So just throwing it out and asking business it goes all the way to each day. You can have your marina on the bay, you can have a hotel on the beachfront, and then a convention center right at the end of the causeway where it would attract and be very accessible instead of having to go every 10 or 15 minutes north for people coming in from town or driving. Just throwing it out as asking, has that been discussed?
Yeah. Yes. To answer your question, and look, I'm going to stay put, right? I can't walk around.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. Here's the thing. I have 700 hotel rooms on the beach. If there's a convention coming into town, and the city wants to spend $100 million to help me out, buy hotels, hey, I'm all for it. Go for it, man. I love it. But I also live here. Okay, and I know a lot of people in the community, and I just don't think that's the right thing to do. It would be nice financially for the guy who owns a hotel on the beach, but 50% of our taxes, the hotel taxes, come from condo rentals. And conventioners don't stay in condos. They like to stay in a hotel nearby. So I would say, if you were to build a box that's $100 million and not do any of these other things, you only have one shot at this. You've got to hold your peace for the next 30 years, and you won't have the money to invest in something else going forward. So, yeah, I mean, on the island, you build a hotel next to the convention center. I just give the analogy of a van full of kids and dads driving to the island. And you ask the kids, where do you want to stay, guys? Next to the convention center or the beach? Guess what everybody's going to say? I want to be on the beach, right? So I would not be the investor who would do that, but I'm sure you could find somebody that might want to do that because I think that's what the city is pursuing. And I'm not going to object to that. I think if you can get somebody to spend $70 million, $80 million on a new hotel next to a convention center on South Padre Island, you have my full support, moral support, not financial support. But go ahead. Just a little bit further, we also have hotels in cities that have chosen another path, and that is, we don't want to do a convention center. We want to incentivize a hotelier to do that. And a typical example is Round Rock, Texas. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Round Rock. It's a city just north of Austin. It's about the size of McAllen. They decided, we don't want a convention center. We're just going to invest in sports tourism. And let somebody else go to the convention center. And they incentivized Kalahari. If you're familiar with that brand, they have huge hotels, 1,000-room hotels. And they incentivize them to build a big meeting facility. And I have a hotel there, they incentivize me to build 180 rooms with a big meeting space. And everybody's living happily ever after. Everybody's doing well. The city has a ton of money they can spend on other things that they want to attract to the area and let the hotels handle the conventions. I think Brownsville is going the same way. They're not interested in building a big convention center, but incentivizing somebody to build it, and we are actually building a hotel there with a convention space. But South Padre Island is a different model, and I think we're going down a different path. I just say be careful before we jump into something big that's long term. But I think at the end of the day, I think we support these three projects. I do. I think it's a good idea. It's a more diversified economy for us. It brings in new people. It also maximizes what we have in this environment. Everything I'm proposing is using natural resources that we already have right here. If you want to bring in a convention for 1,000 people or 2,000 people to South Padre Island, getting people here, they have to change 1 or 2 flights. There are some challenges that we have to overcome. We can't just blindly go for a building without addressing, well, what are the logistics of getting people here? Once they're here, we have 2,600 hotel rooms on South Padre Island. Out of that, you have 1,200, 1,300 hotel rooms that commissioners would like to go to. Okay? Out of those 1,300 rooms, you always have a baseline occupancy of 20% no matter what. So you have about 900 rooms that you can sell to any commissioner at any given time. Not in the summer, this is in the fall. So, yeah, there's some challenges here. McAllen invested $100 million, $50 million in the convention center pre-COVID. It's a lot more now. And another $50 million in the Performing Arts Center. And they're finding out that they're not filling up as well as they expected. So now they're investing in a huge burning center and parks and things that people come to McAllen for festivals. I think that's a big investment they're making. To have a festival every month, things like that bring in a wider group of people. So, just.
So back to the aquarium, can you clarify again who owns the land? You said that we own the land where the aquarium will be proposed to be built, and then how do we get it shovel ready? Like, what can we do? Hire an architect with a certain budget that's correct to get it going?
So Richard Frankie has been working on the Burning Center and the facilities in front of that, on the aquarium. There is a cost estimate that's already out there. It's about $2 million to get it to where it's shovel ready. That they can go out and look for funding. Right now, the budget for the whole thing is about $17 million. I'll be happy to send that out to the chamber, so the chamber can spread it out to everybody. We have some kind of brochure that lays out all this. There's also been some economic research to see what kind of revenue it will generate. So to answer your question, to get started, it's a couple $100,000. $2 million to get it shovel ready, where you have a set of plans with a building permit. I think we should get to that point quickly. I think there's monies out there. Just, I called up the UTRGV, talked to the president there. They're willing to partner with us on that right away. So I think there's a lot of synergy there with our local communities that we can get that thing off the ground, but we need that initial investment to go in now. So yeah, it's about $2 million to take a shovel ready. And just to put comparisons, I saw a budget for the initial budget for the convention center expansion. I think the architectural fees alone are about $7.5 million. You look at engineering and all that, it's about $20 million just to get that thing started. So it's not cheap. We're talking about a lot of money, and there, that's why I think it's important that all of us, including every city council member, look at that in detail, see where every penny is going, how we're spending the money, because it is a lot of money for a small community like ours. And the last time we did that was 30 years ago. We built the convention center for $10 million. Our debt service on that was $875,000 a year. That was our debt service. We retired that debt service in 2008. 2008 was our last payment. I don't know if you remember that, Joanne. That's when Dolly hit. And the island got shut down. The CBD had an $800,000 mortgage to pay. Now, they did have some reserves, but they also had labor costs and all that. So at that time, they split that into two payments with the bond company. And I think the city council helped them out. They advanced the money from general funds to pay the mortgage, and when the CBD reimbursed it back to the city. So it's not all well and good once the building is up. There are some long-term things that we have to think about on a building that's more than $50 million on a barrier island in the Gulf of Mexico in 2024. The insurance costs, labor costs, so we have to think about that before we dive into spending $20 million towards architectural drawings. And I know we are, as private entrepreneurs, everything is on hold. All our projects, the whole project's on hold right now. We have to analyze everything, from insurance costs to labor costs, materials costs, all that.
Can you, just to circle back to one part of her question, the land that you're talking about for the aquarium is owned by the city, as is the buildings and that kind of
I don't know what the technicality of it is, but the city council basically controls that land. I think it's kind of, the EDC owns it, and then the DNC leases that, but we have control over that land.
Thank you.
Have there been estimates done on what it would cost to hire somebody to run an aquarium and staff an aquarium, maintain an aquarium?
So one of the things that I asked Wendy as soon as she showed me around the building, I said, Wendy, how much does this guy make? The guy that you're going to hire, do all this, how much are you going to pay him? Remember that? I don't know if you remember, but my thinking at that time was, okay, I did get an email from somebody from the city asking us, hey, how much is this guy, how much is Steve money? How much are you going to pay him? And then I went online and checked to see what folks that are running aquariums make. How many do you need? And I can produce a budget on the payroll side. And I can tell you, you have to have good people with it. You have to have experts, you have to pay them. But the pay scale that I was looking at was not beyond what we could handle. So I'm very familiar with what we pay for city staff.
So, on that budget that you're talking about, how much would admission to an aquarium be for tourists coming to South Padre Island? What would he pay to get into the aquarium?
I looked at, when you look at aquariums around the country, this would be a lot smaller. The Corpus Christi aquarium charges $28, somewhere around there. I'm not sure, but I think they charge $28, $14 for kids, 6 to 12, and then free for kids under 6, something like that. And I'm sure they have deals. So if we're looking at on South Padre Island, I don't know, right now for that, I have no idea, but I would say about $15. That's what I would start with.
Another question for you.
Kristen would probably know better. How much do you charge for the boarding center?
Well, right now it's $10 for adults and $8. I would just go around a little bit that I know, $17, $20 at least.
Yeah. You could get it.
Another question for you. We're talking about all these things that are going to bring in more tourists to South Padre Island and attract conventionaires and things like that, but we still haven't addressed our parking and our traffic problems. So I noticed one of the things that was on our original list of things to do with the venue tax was address parking. Is that still something that's going to be looked at?
I think the city of South Padre Island is addressing parking as we move forward. They've added many streets, improved a lot of side streets that has parking. Do we need to do more? Yes. Does the venue tax money allow you to do that? Yes. The VNC, the land in front of that, they was called for many years to do a parking structure there. So that's still something that we can do. Parking space at that thought, the pre-COVID was about $25,000 a slot on a 4-story building. Today, it's closer to $60,000 or $65,000. So prices keep going up. So, if we're going to do something, parking has to be a part of it.
Is the city talking about charging parking? Charging visitors, people to park? Is that part of the discussion?
Yeah, please.
I just got into this today and covered a lot of territory. So whatever I say is the thought of this, that you did mention in the beginning, all the water sports and activities that police and ecotourism, all of those things at the north end of the island, all blend together, family friendly, all that. I mean, I'm just looking at this property and based on what you said about a hotel and then the causeway. If the city bought that land and then provided an incentive to a hotel here to build the hotel convention center, and then the city wouldn't have to come up with that money, they'd have to come up with the incentive, like land or something. Have you thought about that?
As the city has. I mean, that's why they're trying to pass the legislation, to incentivize somebody to do that. Maybe not in that, I don't know where, but that would be a good thing to do. But I think they're looking into that because I see that the lobbyists can be put to work to address that, approve that, get that approved by the State Controller's Office.
Now, I just see that there's such an interest now in kayaking, kiteboarding, paddleboarding, and having a place designated for that for people with families where there's not a lot of boat traffic and that at the north end, and then your marina at the south end, you can get the land for the marina, and somehow try to figure out how to make it all work. Obviously, you're way out of the
I need a workshop in that somewhere. But I think the city's already working on a wind sport facility on the north end. I think that requires some land. I think that's moving along quite well. And I'm excited to see that open up pretty soon. So I know the city's done a lot of work on that already. There were some challenges that they had in the GLO, but I think it's all good now. And it's in the next couple of years we'll see a first-class facility up north for this wind sport, thing to do. So, yeah. Yes, sir.
Can I ask one more question? So you mentioned a few times that because you have hotels across multiple areas, is our relationship with the land that the CBB is on unusual from your experience? Meaning the CBB being on a long lease, a piece of land that's owned by a different entity. Is that highly unusual or is this relatively commonplace in your area?
I haven't come up, it may be, but I haven't come across, where the city does not have total control of the land. No, I haven't come across that, but I'm sure there's people like San Marcos is another example. Big area where there's a lot of shopping, and they're building embassy suites there. The city did not want to do a convention center. They have no ownership there. But I think there was some financial help to get that meeting space done, but the city has no long-term obligations to run it or pay for it or anything like that. The hotel gets that charge. And you know, it's a lot of business there. So I don't know of any city that does it like we do, but this is a unique situation here where land is, dry land here is scarce.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Patel. It was great information, and thank you all for your questions. I hope you all learned something about the picture and what it's going to look like. We apologize for the hiccup with the sound at the beginning, but we worked it through. So, with that being said, if there aren't any other questions, you are more than welcome to come visit us up at the chamber at 4113. If you are interested in becoming a member and meet with Beverly, she's our membership person, and we'd love to see you come visit. And until next time, which will be February 27th, have a great day.